み直して読み直している読み直している読み直しているエキスしたいと読み直している読み直しているだけが読み直しているしたいと読み直している読み直しているだけが読み直している読み直して読み直している読み直している読み直しているエキスしたいと読み直している読み直しているだけが読み直している読み直している
Hayden, you're a voice for the people. I understand. I know. 8 minutes. Em, I kept you waiting for nine minutes. Sorry. Oh, I had my sweet precious girlfriend left her phone at home when she left for work this morning, so I had to run it over to her after work or after the gym before this. So I'm a little late. Took a cold shower. I got my blankie because it's so cold. Oh, good morning. Rise and shine. It's time to get motivated. You got that right, baby. This has been such a fun experience. Doing this, and well, I'll just get started and say, welcome to Book Club, the unofficial book club for Caden's podcast, where once a week we read a different nonfiction book, and then we talk about it in the chat. And I talk about it on the podcast. And maybe I should start planning my books ahead of time so I can share what I'm reading. And then if people want to, the few of you that listen can read along if you want. Or just listen. Because that's kind of the point of this. Is so those of you who don't read anything can get some nonfiction education. We do this live every Monday, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Under my YouTube's Caden Kelly, and my Facebook is Caden's Podcast, and my Twitch is Alpha Seltzer, ALFASELTZER, Alpha Seltzer. And then I post this the next day, Tuesdays. You already know. Post this on Tuesdays. So if you're not listening to it live, then come check this out in the morning and come plug your 2 cents in. Come plug your 2 cents in. Let's get after it. I've been posting on a blog. I talked about my blog last week. The blog is awesome. I post twice a week on my blog. The blog is called Caden Kelly's Blog at WordPress.com. KaidenKellysBlog.WordPress.com. I post twice a week. I talk about usually it's my thoughts during meditation. I usually write on my thoughts after I meditate. The last few entries have been centered a lot on peace, how to have peace, and how to I don't like the phrase how to be happy, but it's kind of the same thing, because I don't think happiness and peace are the same thing. In fact, I don't think happiness is a worthy goal to seek, and you can learn why in the podcast or in the blog. And I talk about it too, but in the podcast, but I write about it a lot in my blog entries. So that's it. Those are my announcements. It's January 10, 2022. And, I'll say that last week I hurt my back. On Monday, last Monday. It's been 7 days. I had an awesome workout. I did the podcast, and I had no pain. I was nothing I felt great. And I had a ton of work stuff to do that day. So it was most of the time I was on the computer, and before I was cleaning carpets. And then I went out and I had a light-ish day. Yeah, I didn't have a super light. But I was gone. I was out for, 6-ish hours. And while I was out, my back started tweaking out on me. And it was the same. It's the weirdest thing. I need someone who understands to help me understand. It's not my spine that hurts. Like, it's not my lower back. When I tell people my back hurts, they're like, "Oh, you need to stop doing deadlifts." It's not my lower spine. It's not anywhere on my spine. It's the muscles in between my ribs, on like the middle of my back. I mean, I'll try to show you if you're watching. It's like, you can't see. It's too dark. But yeah, you put your You feel where your rib cage ends on your side of your body, and those first couple ribs. It's all those muscles in between, and then when they start seizing, they start seizing and trembling, quivering. It's wild, and it will shoot through my obliques and around my like my whole rib cage. You have a rib out, bro. I don't think I don't. You think so? You think it's a rib? Because it feels fine now. I spent all week last week, icing and heating and icing and resting, no exercise. And today I went back to the gym, and it feels great. Because here's where it hurts the most is when I look down and try to extend my spine through my neck. I could feel those muscles. I don't anymore. It feels I have zero pain right now. But yes, last week I could feel those muscles start to like quiver. I didn't read, through my copious amounts of Google searching, I never read anything about having a rib out. Isn't that what you have? Isn't that what your deal is? A rib? Or you had a shoulder issue? I don't remember. But yeah, it's fine now. I went back to the gym today. I did not wear the vest. I think what I think it happened was I had my 50-pound vest, and I was doing bent over stuff. Like last Monday, I did a series of push-ups, kettlebell swings. No, not kettlebell swings. I did push-ups, kettlebell snatches, and I lost my train of thought. Kettlebells, snatches, push-ups. Oh, and deadlifts with kettlebells and my vest on. Anyway, the point, my back didn't hurt after the gym. It's not like I felt it tweak while I was working out. And then it didn't hurt afterwards. It hurt like 8 hours later when I was cleaning carpets. I think I tweaked it doing carpets. But it's the last time I did this to my back, I did yoga the morning, and then I went to my first job, and it was during my first job I felt the same it feels like a muscle pull, like you pull your leg or your arm or shoulder or something. I don't know, but it's like my ribs. It's a weird feeling. Oh, well, if you're good now, then it's probably fine, but everything you're explaining sounds like a rib out. I don't know what my deal is. I think I have a bulging disc or a pinched nerve, one of the two. Yeah, I don't have any of those. And I have no pain. I've just been good. I took all last week off to heat and ice and rest, and I had to work still, but I had help working, cleaning carpets, so I didn't have to I wasn't going super hard. But I write a lot about why resting sucks, but also why resting is so good. I wrote a lot about that last week, and I feel great now. I did go back to yoga on Friday, and I felt great. So I did yoga Friday, Saturday, and Sunday yesterday, and yeah, just better and better each time. 7 days, I feel back to normal. So I don't know what the hell it is, and I don't really know what tweaks it. Because when I'm cleaning carpets, my posture is I'm turned, and if you're watching, you see me cleaning carpets, imaginary carpets. And I think it's this twisting motion, pulling and pushing the wand back and forth, and then I'm pulling hose all around, and I think doing that on top of exercising. And then I know I don't have an adequate recovery routine. I really want to get an ice bath. And I just need give me 30, 45 minutes to ice and stretch and rest. But I think having an ice bath after a workout would be everything I need. Is everything anyone needs. Ice bath after workout and ice bath after cleaning carpets. And I'll never get injured again. Right? So we'll get there. One of these days I'll get an ice bath. I'm thinking about just buying one of those big horse troughs or whatever and filling up with water, letting it freeze overnight on the side of my house. I'm breaking the ice and hopping in. But That seems crazy. I got my coolest dad mug this morning. Because I'm the coolest dad. Cheers. Good morning, everyone. I'll tell you what, Keurig makes a damn good cup of joe. Let's talk about last week's book. Last week we read Courage is Calling. Fortune Favors the Brave by Ryan Holiday. He's the same one that wrote The Obstacle is the Way that we did a little while back. I read somewhere, maybe it was in one of his, like an article written about Ryan Holiday, but they call him one of the world's foremost thinkers. He's like 35. He's a young guy. Works really hard. He's the creator of The Daily Stoic. Yeah, let me see if there's a bio in here. That'll do it more justice. Look at him. Just a strapping young man. Ryan Holiday is one of the world's best-selling living philosophers. His books, including The Obstacle is the Way, Ego is the Enemy, The Daily Stoic, and the #1 New York Times bestseller, Stillness is the Key, appear in more than 40 languages and have sold more than 4 million copies. Together, they've spent over 300 weeks on the bestseller lists. Wow, that's awesome. He lives outside Austin with his wife and 2 boys and a small herd of cows and donkeys and goats. His bookstore, The Painted Porch, sits on historic Main Street in Bastrop, Bastrop, Texas. He's steadily become an idol for me. I've listened to in The Obstacle is the Way, he had a post-book interview with what's his name? He had an interview. It was in the audiobook. It was some audiobook exclusive interview. Let's see. It's the author of the 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss helped write that book or publish the book or something. So they did an interview, and he talks. I think when. Oh, let me see. Obstacle. When he wrote that book, maybe it was 2014. Yeah, so 7 years ago. He's young. I want to find out how young he is. Ryan Holiday, he's like 35, I think, now. But so when he wrote that book, shit, I can't see with his stupid arm. He's 34 right now. So in 2014, 8 years ago, wow. Yeah, he was 26. He was my fucking age when he wrote that book. Come on. So he's awesome. He's been writing he talks about writing in his 20s. He dropped out of college too because he got asked to be in some prestigious, not really prestigious, but just high up in American Apparel, the American Apparel company, and he did that, made some money, and started writing, and then eventually left American Apparel to write. Now he owns this bookstore. And he does a whole bunch of stuff in the writing world. He's a wonderful thinker. I love to hear him talk. He had an episode with Brooke. If you're listening to this, he did an episode with your girl Weiss. What's her name? The podcast Brian. What's her name? The one that you love so much, Mom. But Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss. Weiss. It was awesome. I think it was like an hour and a half. I'll share it with you. I'm actually going to send it to you right now. So if you're not listening, you won't know what I'm doing. But I did also listen to that Mumford & Sons episode, by the way. I just never said anything. So, yeah, I really like Ryan Holiday. He has his perspective on the world is kind of, I might be just have confirmation bias, but I agree with pretty much with a lot of what he says about the world, his worldviews. He's the one. He's my Stoic gateway influence. I think Steez shared the Daily Stoic with me, and then that introduced me to Ryan Holiday. So now I'm reading his books. So, Courage is Calling. This is supposed to be one of a series of 4 books on 4 virtues. Let's see if that's what he says in the introduction, but he didn't talk about the other virtues, and I'm curious what. Let me see if I can find it. The introduction is called The 4 Virtues. Last week was a blur because I was hurt and very distracted, but sure enough, he totally does. In the ancient world, virtue was comprised of 4 key components: courage, temperance, justice, wisdom. Courage, bravery, fortitude, honor, sacrifice. Temperance, self-control, moderation, composure, balance. Justice, fairness, service, fellowship, goodness, kindness, and wisdom, knowledge, education, truth, self-reflection, peace. It's pivotal stuff. It's the stuff that the door to the good life hangs on. I really enjoyed this book. Maybe the introduction wasn't in the audiobook because I only did the audiobook. I don't remember any of this. But this whole book is about courage, and we could make this book go pretty quick. Cuz it's not even broken down into, it's not like a story. It's not he just elaborates on courage the whole book, and it's about a 7-hour listen on the audiobook. The whole thing is broken down into about 5-minute excerpts on different parts of courage until he elaborates on all the aspects of courage. So there's no chapters. There's 3 parts to courage, according to Ryan Holiday. Let me find. I could just do this on my notes, but I'm going to do it in the book because I really like looking at the book. Hey, thanks for showing up, everybody. So we've got 4 parts to Courage is Calling. The 4 parts are: part 1, fear; part 2, courage; and part 3, the heroic. So let's talk about those 4 parts. First, I'm going to get some more coffee. All right, fear. So, I just made little notes from all of the little sections that he from all of his sections. So, under fear, I wrote, greatness cannot be achieved without facing and overcoming fear. He says we are all called to do something, and we need courage to face the fear of accomplishing that thing. He does mention a lot this idea that all of us are called to do something in life, and it's a matter of accepting that call, and it takes courage to accept the call. And I don't know if that's exactly what he's saying. That's kind of the impression I get from the book, but I don't know if I agree that there is. If I look at it from a completely nihilistic viewpoint, which I do about most things in life, I don't think anybody has a purpose. I don't think there is an actual purpose. I think we create our own purpose. I don't think there's some higher power or greater energy that has preordained us to accomplish or do anything. I think we just do the things that we're compelled to do. I mean, because it might be a dumb example, but was Hitler supposed to be the person that he was, or was Stalin supposed to be the person that he is, or Donald Trump, right? I don't know if they had this destiny to be however you perceive them, and in Hitler's, and they were obviously evil, but I think they just were compelled to do those things. That's just who they were. It was the part of their identity, and but in all honesty, it took courage to put yourself out there and be an evil person. Am I standing up for Hitler? No, but I I'm saying that it take the point. I don't think that there's destiny, but I think that each of us have an obligation to, not even an obligation, but if we want to be whoever we imagine ourselves to be, we have to have courage and we have to overcome our fear. I think that's the point. So rather than saying you were supposed to, like, Ryan Holiday is supposed to be a philosopher and I'm supposed to be a carpet cleaner, and then I'll be doing something else down the road. And now I don't want to be a carpet cleaner. I want to be more than a carpet cleaner, and I think down the road I'll figure it out. But I don't even think whatever I end up doing is my destiny. I just hope to do what I'm inclined to do in a good way, in a good manner. Yeah, I'm not a Nazi, bro. I'm not a Nazi. I promise. And I'm not winking on the camera, so don't worry. I'm not a Nazi. All right. So yeah, no, I don't think there's destiny. There's no life calling. He says, it's okay to get scared. It's not okay to live in fear and stay afraid. That is paralyzing. If it were easy, everyone would do it. If everyone did it, how valuable would it be? You're better off in the future for being a better person now. Yeah, you're better off. Your future self is better off for you being a better person today. No problem is so bad that you can't make it worse. Ensure you are fixing problems, not making them worse. He says, quote, all growth is a leap in the dark. Be original. Be yourself. To be anything else is to be a coward. That's fear, baby. So, yeah, I'm going to keep going. That's part one. He tells lots of stories. He's very, very educated. He's no dummy, Ryan. He has tons of examples of and characters that he symbolizes and for courage and how they overcome their fear. I don't tell their stories. I just take the parts that I think are most important. Part 2 is courage. This podcast might be short. Who knows? There are 2 types of people in this world: courageous people and cowards. And cowards are capable of the vilest things. What we have, quote, what we have not practiced has an advantage over us. Close quote. The goal is to embrace adversity and say, this is what I've trained for. Ooh, I love this. We have not practiced what we have not practiced has an advantage over us. I love this idea that to have courage is to consistently practice what you want to accomplish. And it goes both ways. He gives examples of people that are great. It's easy to think of people that are great and accomplish great things are doing things every single day to get them to this place of accomplishment or achievement. So and a lot of the books that I've read talk about habits and the compound effect. All of your small decisions add up to be. All of your small decisions contribute to a larger picture, and it's your small decisions that create the biggest change. However, it also works in the reverse. When people who are crippled by fear are people who are not practicing facing fear. They're not practicing hard things. For example, I wrote about this yesterday in my blog, and it will be posted probably tomorrow. I did my meditation. I went to yoga and I was meditating, and I had this, my thoughts took me to this place of peace in discomfort. And the only way to really feel peace, so yesterday's class, it kicked my ass. The teacher was hardcore. The class is hard. The room is hot as balls. And particular instructor, she teaches more like it's boot camp. It's not really yoga. It's like boot camp. It's crazy. It's really hard. And she anyway, so the class is harder than usual. And I'm laying there in my sweat and trying to meditate, and I'm especially tired. But while I was laying there, I was thinking I can be really uncomfortable. My body is sore, and my heart is racing fast. My breath is heavy, and but I can still be. I'm still at peace. I'm still laying here. I'm at peace, and that's the point. But being in that state requires repetition, and if you don't embrace discomfort regularly, then when it comes across you, you're going to be uncomfortable, and you're not going to know how to stay composed. And if you don't regularly face your fears, and just small things like, let's see, what's like typical fears? I don't have an example because I didn't really put a lot of forethought into this, but I think you get the idea. If you don't face your fears, or you don't challenge yourself, you don't challenge your mind or your body or your emotions, which is, fear, then when hard times come, you will not be composed, and you will not have courage. You will be a coward. So to overcome your cowardice, and all of us are cowards underneath. It takes effort to not be a coward. I think we are by default cowards. So I think people think that optimistic people think by default humans are good and they're courageous. But I'm kind of pessimistic, and I think at our core we are cowards. That doesn't mean that we're bad. But I think we all have, and maybe this is just my experience, my perspective. But I think everybody needs to put in effort to overcome their cowardice and to be courageous, to overcome their fears, their discomforts, their pains, and it takes constant repetition. It takes putting yourself in uncomfortable positions regularly to understand what's happening, to understand the experience. You'll still feel the discomfort or the fear or the pain, but you'll know what it is. You'll know where it's coming from, and you'll have courage to get through it. You'll have strength and courage. Ooh, I love that idea. I did not talk so much about strength in my blog when I was writing yesterday. I talked mostly just about, I did not talk about courage, but courage applies just as well as strength. I might go back and include strength with courage, because it takes strength and courage to overcome your fear, your pain, and your discomforts. Woo! And it takes facing them regularly. So I'll quote Ryan Holiday one more time. What we have not practiced has an advantage over us. Fear leads to aversion. Aversion leads to cowardice. Repetition leads to confidence. Confidence leads to courage. Know-how is a help, but it's preparation that makes you brave. Oh, yes. Another quote. Handle your part of the relay. Do your best. Do what you can. Do it right now. Wow, I love these notes. I'm really liking this book more than I thought I did after reading these quotes. Anyway, a common quality of courageous people is doing difficult things. I think meaning that they don't follow the crowd. Oh, excuse me. Being difficult. No, I said it right. Or I wrote it right. I said it different. A common quality of courageous people is being difficult. I think what he means is that they don't follow the crowd. They're hard to work with. CCB is defined. I think I meant to. I don't know why that came out like that. Courage is defined in a moment. People aren't brave generally. They are brave specifically when things get tough and when most people cower. Quote, We can't hope to be brave when it counts. It has to be something we cultivate. So, yeah, wow, I love this. Courageous people, courage is defined in a moment. Courage is defined in a moment because of your constant practice and repetition and preparation. You cannot be courage on paper. No, understanding what courage is a help, but like he says, preparation is what makes you brave. Preparing for the hard events, experiencing difficult, painful, uncomfortable things, so that when you need to exhibit real courage, you'll have the tools, you'll have the know-how, and you'll have the skills to overcome, to be courageous. We can't hope to be brave when it counts. It has to be something we cultivate. Cynicism is cowardice. Whoever criticizes doers likely live lives of complacency. I said that funny. I think that makes sense, though. Whoever criticizes doers likely live lives of complacency. Courageous people are not callous. They do not seek conflict. They are not hot-headed. They are cold-blooded. Woo! That's hot. That's hot. Gandhi said, if you have to choose between cowardice and violence, choose violence. A wise man knows when to accept failure, which can sometimes require more courage. If you don't do your duty, someone else will have to, often at a greater cost. Oh, I love that. That's all of part 2. That's courage. Courageous people are not callous. And I don't know if I spelled that right. Yeah, I wrote callus like the thing on your hand when you work out. How do you spell callus like? Yeah, O-U-S. Yeah, I just missed the U. Or the O, whatever. Heartless. Yeah, showing or having an insensitive and cruel disregard for others. So, courageous people are not callous. They do not seek conflict. In fact, I think the point is the opposite is true. Cowards are callous. Cowards seek conflict, and cowards are hot-headed. They don't know how to. They cannot be composed, and they let their emotions get the best of them. But courageous people are composed. They're gathered. They're strong. They're smart, and they know when to exhibit their force, use their strength, and endure through challenging times. And then they also know when to they know when to stop. What did I say? A wise man knows when to accept failure, which can sometimes require more courage. Yeah, I guess a courageous person doesn't push through adversity without resistance. They know when to stop. Awesome. I love that. I love that part. And then part 3, the heroic. I didn't write a whole lot on this one. But these are the heroes, the superhuman. I'm going to get a little more coffee. Risking oneself for someone else or a larger cause is truly heroic. The opposite of fear is not fearlessness. It is love. Quote, no one gets credit for doing things that never happened. You won't be cherished for every good decision you make. You should be courageous and good anyway. That's integrity. Courage doesn't mean being unbreakable. It means getting back up over and over again. That kind of, that kind of is opposing to the accepting failure part. Courage doesn't mean being unbreakable. It means getting back up over and over again. Well, then when do you fail? When do you know when to retire? A wise man knows when to accept failure, which sometimes require more courage. Or courage doesn't mean being unbreakable. It means getting back up over and over. Well, I guess I think about the first thing that comes to my mind in this regard is being a army leader or something and having troops and you're leading your troops into battle, but because you're so experienced and you've been in war and you've seen tons of situations and you see or you feel that your army soldiers, your team is overwhelmed and is going to lose if they continue to fight, it takes courage to pull them out and to retreat. So, that being said, it will take courage to accept defeat that way, to say retreat, fall back, whatever. You could do that in business as well if you are experimenting with a new product or service or advertisement and it's not working, and instead of just keep trying and beating the horse, you cut your ties, cut your losses, and axe a program. That takes courage, I guess. So when do you accept failure in that regard, and when do you get back up over and over again? I guess that's up for the hero to decide. I suppose if you're wise enough to know the results for your continual efforts, and if they don't serve you, if they're not, if you keep advertising anyway, and you know that it's going to be a failure, then, or you know that it's not working, I don't know. But then you've got oddballs like Steve Jobs, who took courage to be a completely different, unique person and create the Apple products. And if you ever watched that movie with Ashton Kutcher or whatever, what's his name? Ashton Kutcher? That doesn't sound right. Steve Jobs was criticized a lot for his vision and for his plan. But, I guess maybe he knew it was going to work. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thought. When do you back down and when do you keep pushing through? How should you know the difference? I haven't thought about that. That'll be worth considering. And the last point I made was hesitation ought to steal your resolve. Hesitation is hesitating is almost as bad as not doing anything at all. And I've talked a lot about hesitating when attempting to pursue my goals. When I first did this podcast, I wanted it to be perfect, and I wanted it to be a awesome production like all of the really big podcasts that are out right now, because I don't like to half-ass anything. So when I did the first few I usually spend too much money on equipment right out of the gate, and I did when I bought my gaming setup. I did for the podcast. I didn't need to buy all this mic and stuff, but I did. Anyway, hesitating because of your perfectionist mindset, or hesitating because you're afraid of the outcome, usually prevents you from going for your goals anyway. Hesitating because you don't have the time or the energy, hesitating because fear, discomfort, you're never going to accomplish anything. Hesitation ought to steal your resolve. And I think the best counter to hesitation, well, just from what I've learned from all this studying, is the best way to counter hesitation is to just do the shit anyway. You act anyway. I've mentioned before, there's a quote that I heard, and I can't remember the author, who said, the first draft of anything you do is going to be shit. And I'm pretty sure I heard Rogan say it, but I'm also positive Rogan was quoting someone else. The first draft of anything you do is going to be shit. But you got to write it anyway. You got to write it anyway, because if you don't write it, you're never going to write anything. You can't write a masterpiece in one take. You might get close. You might write something right away and it's close, or it might be a It might be the Magna Carta of writing or music or whatever you're doing, podcast right out of the gate, but not every time. You can't do it every time. You have to keep practicing. And just like the point of courage earlier, you have to face the uncomfortableness of trying and failing to succeed. So, in summary, courage consists of 3 parts: fear, courage, and you want to say it's the heroic, but I'm trying to think of heroism. Is heroism a word? I'm going to Google it. Fear, courage, and heroism. Yeah, great bravery. They fought with exemplary heroism. So, overcome your fears. You overcome your fears by facing them. That's the only way. Face your fears. I've heard it since I was a kid. No one wants to be uncomfortable. No one wants to be in pain. No one wants to be afraid. But facing your fears is the only way to overcome them. Being in pain is the only way to get stronger. Because like I wrote in my blog, our bodies and our minds are anti-fragile. The more you work them, or the sicker that your body gets, well, it's actually kind of an interesting concept to me, because no one wants to be sick, and some people die when they get sick, or some people get injured and never recover. But when you work out, but in a healthy, or in a not an extreme example, if you work out, your body gets sore and breaks down, but becomes stronger. And if you get sick and you beat the illness, your immune system becomes more resilient. So your body and and then your brain as well. The more you exercise your brain by studying and discussing and writing and whatever, the smarter and wiser you become. It becomes exhausting, but the smarter and wiser you become. And the more you exercise in these ways, your body's anti-fragile. They won't break from the pressure. They become stronger. They're anti-fragile. So fear, the only way to overcome your fear, you have to face it, and you'll get stronger. You get stronger and you become better. And the only way to become courageous is, what was that quote again that he said? What we have not practiced has an advantage over us. Fear leads to aversion, and aversion leads to cowardice. Okay? Or repetition leads to confidence, and confidence leads to courage. Know-how is a help, but it's preparation that makes you brave. Do your best. Do what you can. Do it right now. And then the heroic is just the extraordinary people that they a lot of this part are examples of people who give their lives in difficult situations to be or they exercise their courage, their bravery in one moment, and it costs them their lives. And the first story that comes to my mind from this book is a story of 2 Marines that I can't remember the exact details from the story, but I think they noticed some unusual activity outside of a compound in Iraq, outside of a U.S. military base, and they in just a moment they sacrificed themselves to save the entire base. It was something to do with the bomb. I'm not doing it justice. But these men gave their lives to save the entire military base, or a larger portion. And Holiday says it takes true bravery to be prepared for that situation, to not think about it, because like he says, hesitation will steal your resolve. So true courage is instinctively acting with bravery, instinctively responding with courage. And because the longer you sit and think and ponder, the less likely you are to perform. So repetition through the hard shit, through small hard things, will make you instinctively brave. It'll make you instinctively courageous. Those are the true heroes in the world. Those who exercise discipline, exercise patience at all times, and then when a moment defines you as as courageous or as a coward, you'll be strong enough and wise enough and resilient enough to act with courage. That's the book. That's a virtue. In this book, those 4 virtues, I want to read them again. This book, I'm going to read all 4 because I really love Ryan Holiday. I support him. Those 4 virtues, this is the first of 4 book series. Again, the virtues are courage, temperance, justice, wisdom. Wisdom will be fun to read. It'll be a lot of Stoics, I'm sure. A lot of, whatever. I'm excited. I'm excited for wisdom. But temperance and justice, and then wisdom. So that's Courage, the book. Courage is Calling. I'm going to wrap this up, and it's under an hour. I'm right on time today. Courage, oh, Jesus, it's right here on the back, the 4 virtues. Courage, temperance, justice, and wisdom. It's always been in short supply, but today we need it more than ever. And I'd add on to that and say, not only does the world need more courage, but you as an individual owe yourself to be courageous. You owe yourself the health and strength and resilience that comes by being courageous and by exercising those, by practicing those disciplines, by being disciplined, by exercising patience. Be courageous, and then we'll talk about temperance, justice, and wisdom later on. Okay, that's it. That's all I got to say. I don't want to exhaust it. Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. Excellent read. Go check it out. Go check out his other books. I want to read his Ego is the Enemy. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Ego is the Enemy. That one sounds awesome because everyone has an ego and everyone needs to manage their ego. And if everyone was able to manage their ego, I think the world would be instantly in a better place. So, I like this. He says on the back of the book, the call to courage comes to all of us in life. If we won't answer, who will? If not now, when? Do it now. Do what you can. What did he say? I love this. This is what we'll end on. Do your best. Do what you can. Do it right now. All right. Check out my podcast, or check out my blog, Caden Kelly's blog.wordpress.com. KAIDENKELLYS .wordpress WORDPRESS.com. You'll have links to the podcast, you'll have links to the blog, you'll have links to, just all my shit. And this podcast will be live after Monday, but next week, if you hear this and you like the message and you want to read or you want to comment on what I'm saying and what the book is saying, then join me live Monday mornings, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. YouTube is Caden Kelly or Caden's Podcast. I think both will pull it up. Facebook is Caden's Podcast. And Twitch on my video game name, Alpha Seltzer, ALFASELTZER, Alpha Seltzer. And next week, I might do something different next week. Rather than a book, it'll still be along the same lines. Excuse me. What we're doing right now, but I might not read a book or I'll probably still read a book, but I might not talk about the book like I do this time. I might take a different route. And if I don't, then I'll tell you what I had in mind next week. But next week will be should be a little different. But in any case, thanks for showing up. I've had a lot of people coming and going in the chat or in the, my viewers this morning. But for those of you who showed up to listen and watch, I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. I do this podcast and my blog for myself, but if I can do anything to improve anybody else's lives or well-being, then it is all worth it. The energy and the effort and the money is all worth it. I'm not here to take your money. I don't want to be I think all the time about, even I talked about it a lot last week. I don't want to exhaust it again, but if a good person wants to be, if a good person wants to be to help other people, but they're not going to do it, they're not going to help if they don't get your money, then how are they helping? But I also understand everyone needs to make money to live, and whatever you give your time to the most should earn you a livable wage. So, whatever. I get it, but I think I look at all of the self-help guys that I follow on Instagram, and they all have, and Ryan Holiday too, he's got his own blog, his newsletter that people subscribe to, and it's excellent content. The Mark Manson blog is excellent content, super helpful. They're very wise, but you got to pay for it. So, you can only get help or become a better person if you pay for the content. I don't know how do you just, but are they supposed to just give it out for free? I kind of want to just give it out for free. But if I did this full time, how would I make a livable wage? It's a weird idea. I would do ads. I would take ads and publish my content for free. I think that's but I like I like the subscription based idea too, because then the people that subscribe are the ones, they actually want the content. And they don't have, they pay for just the content. They're not I don't know. Anyway, that's just my thought. It's a dumb thing to end on. Courage is calling. Ryan Holiday, thanks for showing up. Just do it free and have an optional battle pass. Yeah, I'll have a battle pass, and I'll have a store and update the store every 24 hours with new gear. It'll take a big team, but that's how everyone does it these days. Free game with a battle pass, optional battle pass. I would make some awesome skins, though. I wonder if I'm going to think about that concept. How do you take the battle pass concept into real life? Anyway, something to think about. Interesting. Thanks for being in the chat, Hayden. Yeah, you are the only one in the chat, but I've had 4 or 5 or 6 people coming and going in my viewership. So, yeah, a lot of people just silently listening, and that's great. I'm glad you're here. You're welcome. You're welcome to stay here or to come in and listen and watch. And I also encourage you to chat with my moderator, Hayden. Mashed potatoes. Anyway, go face your fears this week. Go do something challenging, and take care of yourself first. Go do something that will improve your health, your well-being, your clarity. Exercise, discipline, and patience, and don't be a menace to society. Go be useful and helpful in every way that you can. And I promise from my own experience, if you go do something challenging that is in line with your values, you will feel a deep sense of reward and satisfaction from it. So consider your values. Consider how you can reach your values or reach your ideal lifestyle, and go do something that's challenging that gets you closer to your ideal life. And you'll feel a deep sense of reward and satisfaction. Love you all in a non-romantic way, in a way that where I love people in general. And thanks for showing up, and thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week on the unofficial Cadence Podcast Book Club. We'll see ya.
したい人で読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直している